All right, we're ready to get started with our program. So, welcome everybody to the 2021 Hall of Fame Induction, Hardrocker Athletic Hall of Fame. Hands down, the best day of the year. This is special, and this is important to honor these people. You know, I asked a few of the basketball players that are here, I said, did you ever have any idea that you guys would be going into the Hall of Fame? And they were like, not even on our radar. And that's because when you're here, like we're just kids, right? Doing what we love, trying to get an education, and now you get to come back and be honored for it. It's a pretty special moment. It's a big day. So congratulations to all the inductees. A couple people we need to recognize. First off, Sandy Carlson, who checked you in. The way this is organized and the way it runs. Is all because of her and her details. She just takes care of this all. So very special thanks. Another person we need to recognize, the reason why we get to eat today is because of Mr. Paul Goddard. Please wave for us, just real quick. Give him a hand. He donates some funds to provide this meal for everybody, and he has for years and years and years, and so we really, really appreciate Paul for doing that for everyone. Woo-hoo! So I guess I kind of always forget to introduce who I am. I guess I just assume everybody knows who I am. I'm not sure why. But my name is Maria Fossum Cadwalder. I am an alumni of here. I played women's basketball from 91 to 95 and then graduated in industrial engineering in 1996. So this is even more special to me because I have been blessed enough to be in the Hall of Fame, both team and individual. And so I really truly know what this feels like for everybody, and it is just very near and dear to my heart. So I am so proud of everybody who's back here today. First of all, I'd like to recognize former Hall of Famers or people who have been inducted previous. If you could stand, we'd like to acknowledge and give you some round of applause. Coaches, right? Teams, Callie, right? And then, as for a few special guests, you know, former coaches, we have Coach Lori Coble here, who's waving. Right. Coach Bart Felderman, head coach for a long time. And of course, Hugh Welsh, who is going to be inducted today. So, you know, you're going to hear a lot today from the people, and I hope they share their stories because they are so special. This might come as a shocker to all of you. I don't think I was always Coach's favorite point guard. I'm sure she probably wanted to strangle me at some points, but you know, you're going to hear a lot of people's names maybe mentioned. Harvey Fraser, Dean Pete, Dud King, coaches that have been so impactful to our development, right? And so influential on the people that we are today, just from this short time frame that we spent here at School of Mines. So important. And one of the biggest things that I think people fail to realize is how blessed we truly are. We were here, we came here just to play sports, right? So we were so blessed to be able to compete at a collegiate level and then really graduate from such a prestigious, really hard institution to get through. I mean, there's a small percentage of people that can actually do that. And you're witnessing here, I mean, all the alums and all these people. So it's just really a special moment, and just know how special this moment really is. So with that, I'm going to close, and then we'll get going with all these inductions. I would like to introduce our athletic director, Joe Lucan.
Welcome, everybody. Good morning. Appreciate everyone's attendance today. I don't think Maria talked to Rusty, because the first time I talked to Rusty, Rusty's like, why am I not in the Hall of Fame yet? What's going on, man? If you know Rusty, that's really funny. I do want to also thank Sandy Carlson for everything that she does for the athletic department, the Hardrock Club. Sandy truly is the glue and has been absolutely fantastic for me in the 7 years that I've been here. And we couldn't truly get along without her. So one more round of applause, please, for Sandy. I'd also like to thank Brad Bloom. Brad is the guy that, if you watch any of our games online, he's the man that makes all this run. This morning the sound system wasn't working, and then boom, it was. So thanks, Brad, for everything that you do for Hardrocker Athletics over the last, what, 18 years?
16.
16 years, thank you. And then also the last couple of years with Maria have been absolutely fantastic. She is a great ambassador for you all as alumni, as future and current Hall of Fame members. She has a true passion for South Dakota School of Mines and the athletic department, and really looking forward to future years ahead partnering. Congratulations to everybody being inducted today. The Hardrocker Athletic Hall of Fame purpose is to recognize individuals and teams who have distinguished themselves in the field of intercollegiate athletics while at South Dakota School of Mines, either by virtue of their performance on athletic teams representing the college, or by meritorious efforts on behalf of the athletic program or the college. Enshrinement into the South Dakota School of Mines Hardrocker Hall of Fame is truly the highest honor the athletic department can bestow upon an alum. Teams, coaches, administrators, and supporters, we're delighted to have you all in attendance and all of those watching virtually. Thank you very much. Now it is my pleasure to introduce South Dakota Mines 19th President, 1978 EE, Dr. James Rankin.
Maria's, before I get started, Maria's comment about when you played here, did you think you'd be in the Hall of Fame? Well, when I was a student here, I didn't think I'd be the president. I think I had a lot of classmates who would have thought even less like that. So I have to say, I did have the opportunity to be called a beauty by Ted King, so I know exactly what you're talking about. But just congratulations to all the 2021 Hall of Fame inductees. It's great to be here. I really enjoy athletics at the university. You hear Joel talk about this a lot, but we really are the front door to the community. But you're also a bridge to our alumni. That's what brings our alumni back. As you go to the football game tonight, you're going to see a full ramp of all the alumni coming back. But it's also important that the university is a family. And it's great that you've got your family and friends here to celebrate with you today. As I've looked at the bios, it's pretty easy to understand why you're being inducted. So congratulations for joining all the folks that you see on the walls in this great room. You've made a difference as athletes, as coaches, as supporters. And I think that if you talk to people from other universities, you don't realize that you did that while carrying a heck of an academic load. You don't just walk through the curriculum here and get out. But you balance that degree with with athletic excellence. So it's amazing to see that. So as I walk off the stage here, again, I want to congratulate you, and I do want to thank Dr. Gnert for his support. I want to thank Maria and Sandy and the Hardrock Club for everything they do. And I want to thank Joel, because with his vision of where we're going, you're going to continue to see great things out of our athletic department. It's a great day to be a Hardrocker. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rankin. So first up, we have Dr. Larry Simonson, who is going to introduce Dan Matthaidess. I got that right, correct? And he's a posthumously, unfortunately, he's not here with us today, but we're going to have Larry honor him.
Thank you, Maria. First of all, I'd like to welcome Dan's widow, Bonnie, who's watching live streaming in Rochester, New York, and their daughter in Charlotte, North Carolina. Hopefully all the technical issues are going well. Dan came to the School of Mines. He was recruited from Moorhead, Iowa. Moorhead, Iowa is a population of about 300 in western Iowa. Not sure what the recruiting standards were back then or why he went to Moorhead, Iowa, but Bob Hunt was the coach, and he had a niece living in Moorhead, Iowa. So that might have been a connection, I'm not quite sure. But anyhow, Dan and Bob's niece were classmates for the first 8 years in school, and then the niece went off to another high school about 14 miles away. And the niece's grandmother, the niece's grandmother was Dan's neighbor. Anyhow, the niece is Bonnie, his wife. So she's the one that's joining us here. So they got married in the summer of 1962, and a mechanical engineering degree. And he was the number 2 scorer all time when he left college. Now he's number 13 on the list. There's a few people in this room that have passed him up. Dan had a career with Kodak, and he took early retirement after 39 years with Kodak. And while at Kodak, he played on basketball teams. They're in the City League. And the name of the team was the Green Giants. And he was the shortest person on the team at 6'3". This is what I learned from talking to Bonnie about this. He also played volleyball. He learned to play slow pitch softball. And he was quite a golfer. He had a 10 handicap. And he and Bonnie golfed together. And after a few surgeries for spinal issues, it affected his arms and his hands, so he wasn't quite as proficient in golf as he had been. So the end of his golf came, and the day he said, "That's it." And that was the day that Bonnie's score was lower than his score. So he was very, very competitive. So he said, "That's no more golf for me." After retirement from Kodak, Dan got into a lot of things. He did a lot of things. And when he was growing up, his father had a special care for one of the relatives who was disabled. And so that thought was passed on through Dan. And Dan was very respectful of older people, and he wanted to help them out as much as he possibly could in his retirement, and he did that. So he wanted to make sure these people were taken care of. So the passion that his father had passed down through Dan and so on. He was very fond of Guy and Gail March. Bonnie and Dan were back for their 50th graduation in 2013. They were both very active in church, and Dan loved to teach 4th graders, and they were in the choir, and so he was a very interested in the community. One thing also that Bonnie told me that they lived on Alamo Street, and he was known by the neighbors as the mayor of Alamo Street. So Bonnie is going to probably have a few comments, and if this works, we'll. Hello, Bonnie. Do you want to say a few words? I'm going to put up the microphone and hopefully you'll be able to hear.
Very good. Hello, everyone. This is Bonnie from Rochester. I want to say good afternoon. Hello.
Yeah, we're here.
Okay. I wanted to thank everyone. Hello, this is Bonnie. And
Yes.
I wanted to thank you for inviting me to be a part today. Thank you for this honor for Dan to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. I say thank you from my entire family, the honor was granted to Dan a year ago, and unfortunately, because of COVID, we couldn't be with you. But thank you now for this. Thank you now for this honor. I want to give a shout out to Joel and also to Larry for making this happen. So please know that I want all of you to enjoy this coming weekend, and thank you again.
Thank you, Bonnie.
So, Charlie Chambers couldn't quite make it because of a family emergency. Charlie was going to introduce Bill, but he's put together, hopefully technology will work out here for us. He's put together a 3-minute video that he wanted everyone to see. So just give us a little patience right here. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Charlie Chambers. I graduated from the School of Mines in 1969 with a degree in mechanical engineering. I'm here to introduce Bill Brodsky into the Athletic Hall of Fame. Bill graduated from the Powder River High School in 1963, and in that fall came here to Tech as a student. That fall, he was coerced into joining the football team as a quarterback. Early in the season, the starting quarterback was hurt, and Bill started 4 years at Tech. In his senior year, he was voted the all-conference quarterback for the SDIC. After graduating in 1968 with a degree in mechanical engineering, Bill served 2 years in the Army Corps of Engineers, the last year being in Vietnam. After returning from Vietnam, he went to work for the Milwaukee Road in Tacoma, Washington, where he met his wife, Judy. He earned an MBA from the University of Chicago in 1987, and that same year he became president of Montana Rail Link in Missoula, Montana. He retired as president of Washington Transportation Group in 2016. Bill has always been very generous. He and his wife were instrumental in getting the Harvey Fraser gym built. Bill also made leadership gifts to the Harvey Fraser Scholarship. A couple stories about Bill. If this celebration was to retire his jersey, we'd have a major problem finding a number retire. In 1963, shown as number 26. Note the high-top football shoes and the rusher in the old-style helmet. In 1963, this picture shows Bill as number 42. In 1965, this one shows Bill as number 24. Note that his helmet had number 11, and that's Dud King in the background. In 1965, this is Bill as number 11. In 1966, a picture of Bill and Yogi Fox. Bill was all-conference SDI quarterback, and Yogi Fox, or Bill Fox, was an 160-pound guard. When Harvey Fraser came to Mines as a dean of engineering, he insisted that he teach one class, and that being thermodynamics. Bill and I were in that class, and early on, probably the second or third class, Bill was famous for wearing white t-shirts. And Dr. Harv roared out, he said, "Brotsky, if I can wear a coat and tie, at least you could wear a shirt." Also, in Bill's freshman year, Dr. Harv took Bill aside and said to him, "Brotsky, unless you can get your grades up, you're not going to be playing football anymore. Dr. Harv was a mentor to both Bill and I, and he passed away in 2013 at the age of 97. Bill and I wish to express our deep gratitude to Dr. Harv's family.
That was a great video. I'd like to invite Dr. Larry Simonson up again to introduce Bill.
I'm not sure I have anything to say after that. That was really great. But Bill came to the School of Mines from Brodsky, Montana, and mechanical engineering and football. I'm not sure what his priority was, but he can probably share that with us when he has his comments. You know, all students face a few distractions, and I think he faced some of the distractions that led to that talk with Harvey Fraser. But that talk with Harvey Fraser was a turning point in his life. I think he admits that. And he really has paid that back. In 2004, this event was first held. The first honoree was Harvey Fraser. Harvey Fraser was not able to be in good enough, he wasn't in good enough health to be able to take commercial airline. He wasn't in good enough health to take, be in a car for that long. He was down in Boulder, Colorado. So Bill Brodsky flew his corporate plane from Missoula to Boulder, picked up Harvey, brought him to Rapid City, and took him back. That's how much it meant to Bill for Harvey Fraser and everything like that. So Bill worked for a company up in Missoula, and it was owned by Denny Washington, who was a very strong supporter of the University of Montana. And Bill became a strong supporter of the University of Montana football team. And Montana won several national championships. And through that process, somehow or another, Bill and Judy's daughter met one of the football players who was on the national championship team, and they're married now. And so that was kind of a little bit of a nice outcome of that. If it wouldn't be for Bill Brodsky and a few other people like that, we would not have a Harvey Fraser Gymnasium. So Bill and Judy were very generous to help get that going, and also the Harvey Fraser Scholarship. So this is just really a tremendous honor now after, 17 years that Bill comes back and is honored into the Hall of Fame. So Bill, congratulations, and you want to make a few comments?
I'm sorry about the terrible performance by Charlie Chambers here. Just witnessed here. And, but I will tell you, Charlie's been one of the closest friends of my life throughout the time we were both here at the School of Mines. And he's a great guy. He really wanted to be here. His wife is in a real serious position right now. So, you know, I hope everybody wish her well. And Charlie as well. So, anyway, I appreciate that. You want me up
Yeah,
more?
yep. Everybody wants to hear you, sir.
So, you know, I've been a little concerned about how I should go out talking about a lot of this. I've had a lot of gaps in the life of my system, like most all of you have had. And, but in this case, I kind of wanted to look back. I actually grew up in Spearfish, and I ended up with playing football at a young age, very young age, if you will. And so 7th and 8th grade, I I played there. My folks have moved to Brodsky, Montana, and they built an IGA store up there. And, one of those real classic ones, you know. So it's a funny thing over the top of the IGA store. But it worked out for them pretty good, that's good. And so when I got up there, I knew a few of the people that were there. But I really didn't understand what was going on in some ways, because, and I think this has got to be, somebody needs to direct me better if I'm wrong here, but at Brods, we ended up with a bunch of kids that were all same age, had grown up from the time they were this side all the way to the top up there. And it just seemed like they thought that the whole system was theirs. They had worked that hard on it, done all of those things. And I know that throughout the different states, there's tons of people, particularly the ranchers and the farmers, that really have an opportunity with these kids. And hopefully a lot of those kids end up in the city line, the city South Dakota. But it's real special when you can find a bunch like that really set the standard for half of the state of Montana. And that was a big deal. I finished up very behind because most everybody else was 1 year ahead of me. And we had a chance to win another one and get another state championship. And I missed the yard line about this far. It's really sickening to miss, but those things happen. And so it worked out that some of the best things in my life were up in Montana, in that eastern part of the state. And it was a very, very good experience for me. After that, I was headed south and coming to Rapid City. And when I got down here, I was trying to think, what am I really going to do? And then it seemed to me like that, you know, maybe I don't need to be playing football. Maybe I should just go to school and do the things to do when you go to school. Maybe next year I'll look at it. So I want you to understand this. This isn't all me. But anyway, about halfway through the season for the first year that we had when I got here, we were playing a flag football game up here. I can't remember. Anybody know where we used to do that? It was back up here somewhere. Anyway, we were having a grand old time, and it just seemed like this guy over here, he stares at me all the time. I'm trying to figure out what's going on with this. Well, pretty soon he grabbed somebody over there and sent him out and told him, get me over there to the side. So I went over there, and this guy says, he says, I'll tell you what, I want you down at the practice field 4 o'clock this afternoon, and you better be there. Clark was the guy. Sent me in there, and kind of ruined my program because what happened to Carlson up there, I couldn't say no to a lot of them, but I wasn't going to go to school or I didn't want to go to school, and so anyway, they were very good. They brought me into it. I had very little that I did that first year because we only had a couple years. A couple of games that first year that I had any involved in. But the next year was a little different, so I racked it up a little bit. And so it was real interesting to see how they changed the flow. And I guess what I'd like to say is that even though I decided not to play football that first year, you learn a lot of things all the time when you go through that. And that was one of the big things for me. I wanted to talk just a little bit about Hardrocker football from my perspective. I had the chance for that first year to kind of get a sense of what was going on, and secondly, what can we do to help our program grow and play the game the way we want to. And, you know, as I was going through that, all of the kids were just playing hard and big, and they were very good at football. But the one thing that I noticed is that sometimes you got people in the wrong position, you know. And we had them playing the wrong things and some things. And so it looked like we needed to do a little shifting. Not taking anything away from anything, but getting the right guys in the right spot. And I think when you look at the program as it developed all the way through, at least to the end of my time, they really were growing. They were really growing with it. And I felt like the team, it made a whole lot of difference for all of us because we started playing a little bit of football before. And I was very, very proud of what they did. You know, it's one of those things where I think the whole school of mine should be very proud of that team because they really did quite a job. They're very good. And you know, I think I'm going to take just a few minutes if I can to talk to you a little bit about one of the great guys that I got so very well. That was Harvey Fraser. And you know, I'm sure most of you know, but Harvey ended up being the first guy inducted into the Hall of Fame. And as Welder was talking about, you know, I think we would probably that Dr. He just has to be one of the more resilient people that could be honored at that time. I mean, it's not too hard to look at his life, what he did in the military, what he did overseas, all of that stuff right through. Fortunately enough, Judy and I were invited to the program because all of the people that were 51st were all out on the East Coast. And they couldn't make it, you know, to get Harvey up there. But they came to him, the whole, and went through, we were just very, very fortunate. They opened it up to us, and we got to meet all of the people. But, you know, it just made you more and more proud of Harvey all through what all those people did. And so I think, and I'll get wrapped up here, that what I'd like to do is bear with me, but I think Janet Hale, Joan, and Harvey Fraser Jr. I really want to thank them. They let me kind of get under the covers, work with them, look at things, and just like we did, and I just can't be more proud for them as well as all of the people that were part of it. For that, I thank each and every one of them. I can't say enough about how much I appreciate what I received here. Thank you.
congratulations, Bill. Very, very deserved. And thank you for all you've done for the football program and the addition of the gym. It's just seeing athletics evolve, and you've been a big part of that, you and your wife. So thank you. So, I get the honor of introducing Jenny Heikel for volleyball. So Jenny Heikel, this is where her plaque reads, is arguably one of the best liberos South Dakota School of Mines Hardrocker volleyball program has ever seen. A native of Omaha, Nebraska, Heikel was a 4-year starter for the Hardrockers. She was known for her energy on the court and among her teammates. She served as captain for the Hardrockers. She was also recognized for her work ethic, for being committed to consistently putting hours in the off season. And in my opinion, that's a true athlete when you actually take the time to put in the hours in the off season. That's what makes the big difference. Heikel holds the top spots in single season records for serve receive passes ratio, serve receive percentage, and total digs. She was named the Dakota Athletic Conference Senior of the Year in 2008. Heikel was also named Libero of the Year and was a DAC All-Conference first team selection during both her junior and senior years. She was a DAC Scholar Athlete, received several DAC Libero of the Week and Regional Libero of the Week honors, and achieved NAIA Libero of the Week recognition. Heikel majored in interdisciplinary sciences while at South Dakota School of Mines. So I did talk to a couple people who were around when Jenny played, and this is what they had to say about her. She was a tenacious back row player. You could always count on her to motivate her team. She was the coach of the back row. She had a take charge mentality. That was a common theme everybody said. And I can tell that when I talked to you on the phone. And one thing she talked about, her education here at South Dakota School of Mines, it helped her to learn teamwork, which carried over into her classes and now over into her career. So with that being said, Jenny Heikel, please come up and receive your Hall of Fame award.
Hey everybody. It is such an honor to be here today. Thank you to those who selected me to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. I never thought I would play college volleyball. Since I tore my ACL as a junior, I had to sit out my whole high school season and club season as a senior. Even though I couldn't play, I still cheered on the team and helped coach others on their defense. My first time back to playing after my injury, I was at a tryout for Kearney. Doug, the School of Mines coach at that time, saw me play, and even with a huge knee brace, he still saw something in me and wanted to take a chance. At the end of the tryout, he said he's never seen anyone play defense as fearless as I had. I came to a visit for Mines and fell in love with the school and the volleyball program. I knew this was where I belonged. Playing volleyball at School of Mines taught me about integrity, hard work as an individual and as a part of the team, and I use these skills daily as a part of my practice as a home health physical therapist. I would like to thank my girlfriend Ari and my best friend Brandon that came all the way out from California to support me today. Thanks to my mom and stepdad who couldn't be here today for shuttling me between soccer, softball, and volleyball games. My parents were Hardrocker fans from the beginning and continue to travel from Omaha to watch Mines volleyball even after I graduated. They were really dedicated. Thanks to Ryan, my club coach, for pushing me to be autonomous and running the back row. Thanks to all the coaches who cut me because I was too short to play volleyball. You just pissed me off. Thank you to all of my volleyball teammates over the years for accepting me and allowing me to be myself on and off the court. Thanks to Tessa, my setter, who played volleyball with me from middle school all the way to college. We made a great duo. I remember walking by a Hall of Fame ceremony when I was playing here at Mines. And I made that a goal to myself to be inducted, and here I am today. So, thank you.
Congratulations, Jenny. So next up, we're going to bring Mitch Slazarski to introduce Coach Hugh Welsh.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, I'd like to thank also Maria and Joel and Sandy for putting this together. I know it's a lot of work. Thank you. Let's give them one more hand. And right before I introduce Coach Welsh, I would like to just point out one of my best friends and one of the smartest people I know, Rob Christensen, turning 50 today. Happy birthday. And one other thing, I just really want to thank this table over here. Thank these guys for coming back. It means a lot to Coach, I know. It means a lot to me. And frankly, these guys should be going as a team because they went to the national tournament. So your time will come shortly, I'm sure. So thanks for coming back, guys. Basketball is a wonderful game, and if you give it everything you have, it will give you more than you can ever imagine back. Coach Welsh is at the heart of that for so many people. You know, there's just really one thing I'd like for everyone to understand about him, short and simple. He is fiercely loyal to those that went to battle with him. I've gotten to know him over the years, being a Rapid City guy, got to have a lot of visits with him. And that's the one thing that I want you all to know, is that with that loyalty, if you battled with him, I just want you to understand how loyal he is to you. And I know that he has deep respect for you, and he's very proud of all you guys. So, Hugh Welsh, come on up.
Boy, there's a lot of material out here. Okay, before we get to the neatest stuff here, number one, Mitch, this is my favorite belt. Number two, these are not silk. Mitch will understand that very well, very well. Number two, mentioned Dr. Fraser. When I accepted the position here, I got a congratulations letter from him. After a good season, I got a very nice letter. After a not so good season, I got a letter encouraging me to do better. He was a cool man. He was definitely a cool guy. Maria, you were hell of a player. One thing I want to say, it's tough for me to say for something, I don't know what. I remember when Coach was trying to recruit Becky Hammond. And I said, Coach, you got a chance to get Becky? And I don't think things were going real well at the time. She said, Maria was a school bird. Just like that. Remember that? Okay, number 4 before we get going. These shirts. For a long time when I wore a suit and a tie and all that kind of stuff. When these guys were playing over here, we had a point guard, Jeff Woodmansey, who was perhaps the most intense kid that we ever had, intense in every aspect of his life. And that group was a pretty serious group of guys. I was always, you know, on the game day, I had the so-called game face and stuff, you know. I was always thinking about this or that. So we had a Hawaiian night, and on campus for the game, everybody wore Hawaiian shirts. So I thought, well, let's change this up a little bit. So I had a suit and everything in the locker room for the game. I came out and kids started to warm up. And they go back in, or they stayed on the floor, I walk in, I put on a Hawaiian shirt. And I came back out, sitting on the bench, and Woodmansey's looking down there, and he's looking down there. And he gets a big smile on his face. And the kids performed well. I think it kind of lightened things up a little bit. From that time on, every home game I wore a shirt like this. I was smart enough not to wear them over Black Hills, because I think there could have been, you know, some issues with that. I think, you know, part of a question people get all the time when they coach is, well, why do you do that? And some folks do it, you know, they hope to have some type of impact. Some folks do it just because they want to stay part of the game. You know, all these different reasons. You know, the number one thing that you end up with is the relationships with the kids that you coach. The other reason some people seem to want to, you know, continue their impact on the sport they're involved in, that they officiate. Most of them make big mistakes. Coach involves for me on that. There's another question there. I would like, in regards to our team, I'd like to mention each of the guys a little bit so that you get to know them. And I hope I got the classes right here. And I think the only way we can describe it is I'd like to introduce each of these geniuses and beauties. I used to call them geniuses when I was a little bit disappointed in them. We have Michael Saylor here from Wilson, North Dakota. Mike played all 4 years for me. He was a very tough kid. He was a very versatile kid, and really was a pleasure to have around. Rusty Colcon, junior college transfer. What was your high school? You went to Tino Grace. Tino Grace. Didn't you? Yeah. In these notes that I have here, he was a wonderful talent, had a lot of energy. And one thing that I learned from Rusty, you ever notice in the NFL, the most arrogant players are the wide receivers? Well, the best athletes that I ever had here, Rusty being one of the most athletic kids, you know, oftentimes we're referred to as knuckleheads. So let's leave that at that. Of course, Mark Heikel was on that team, and of course, Mark was just the most pleasant guy you could ever have around, and we lost him at a very young age, which was pretty sad. And then Ricky is here, Ricky Ruth, his dad is here. Ricky was an Alpena, South Dakota guy, a 4-year guy, got better every single year, really worked hard physically, changed his body. I guess is the term I hear the guys on TV say all the time. I don't understand, you know, what's going on. But Ricky worked hard that way, and I thought had a very nice career. With that junior class, we had a local guy, Derrick Knapp, who is a Hall of Fame, Hardrocker Hall of Fame. Remember, Derrick was a very consistent player, just an outstanding scorer, and we were really fortunate that we could get a local guy like Derrick to come and play for us. Jeremy Spicer was a junior, Saratoga, Wyoming guy. He was another player that improved, I thought, immensely each year. Of course, maybe the greatest thing he did here was find his wife. That was a pretty good deal. And Jeremy ended up being a very good three-point shooter with a very unique style, if I remember, that this foot, as a right-hander, was ahead of the right foot all the time. I'm not going to take credit on teaching him. He seemed to make it work. Griggsy and his wife, what a deal, Steve. How nice to see you. I absolutely had forgotten how funny Steve is. Just to visit with him is a laugh a minute, just a delight. Now let's see, West Bend, Wisconsin. He was another four-year guy, and just a kid that improved every year, seemed to really accept the role that we placed him in. Outstanding rebounder, and it did some wonderful things for us. That sophomore class was Rob Christensen with an E-N. That was told to me one time. Rob had a redshirt season because of injury, and he was another guy that just really worked hard on changing his body. One of the guys, I can't remember who it was, that told me that one time when, you know, Rob was a slender guy, as you can see with some of his boys here that are very, you know, have that same look, that we would send him down into the weight room during practice that redshirt year. Somebody went up, probably it was Lazarski, and they caught him in the mirrors down there going like this. I thought we should have had that. Rob was a wonderful defensive player. His senior year, he was the South Dakota Intercollegiate Conference Defensive Player of the Year, so pretty impressive deal. Mitch Slazarski, another four-year guy from Columbus, Nebraska. He's a Hall of Famer. He's an SDIC Hall of Fame. And I think the greatest thing about Mitch was his absolute joy to play the game. I mean, just played in Poland, you know, professionally. And I have to say this, Mitch is in Poland playing, and his mother sends me this big poster. What were there, 8 teams or 10 teams? How many were you? 10 teams in the league, and there's a picture of each team on the poster. Well, they were allowed 2 Americans, is that right? Yep. 2 Americans. I get this poster. I can't pick him out. I can't find the picture on this poster. I call his mom, and what team does he play on? So his Polish heritage actually, you know, comes up. What a cool guy, and as Mitch said, we got to be very good friends over the years, that's for sure. Jay Pepple is here. Jay and his sister, one of our ultimate fans, you know, and his dad, which is a cool deal, family. Jay was a very energetic player for us. He was an outstanding three-point shooter, and just I thought just a really hard-working kid. We had Aaron Carlson. You were Bloomington Jefferson? Kennedy, we talked about that last night. 71-year-old memory right there. And Aaron was another really hard-nosed player, and really good guy to be around. Last night, Aaron and Jay mentioned to me that they seemed to go into the game at the same time, lots of times. So I'm assuming that one was going in to give either Michael Saylor a rest or Mitch a rest. The other one was going in because somebody was acting like a knucklehead. No doubt about that. Ellen Anderson was on that team. Ellen, you were a 4-year guy, weren't you? And Ellen's senior year, the year after that, he just had an outstanding season. So it was good to get to see him. So the freshman guys there, Brent Knapp, Derrick's brother, who, as his mother mentioned, is a fireman in Minneapolis. He was there, played for us 1 year. I think one memory we talked about this, and we'll always have a Brett is walking into the locker room at the halftime of a Black Hills game after being egged. So we'll never forget that. Dave Baslager was on that team. Brandon Candlin was on that team. And Brandon developed into just an extreme, you all know Brandon, the best coach in South Dakota. He really has that mentality. Because we're visiting, I guess on Thursday maybe, and somebody said, how many state championships did you win? Well, God, we got away last year, and it was my fault. And that just shows the kind of guy Brandon is, because he would say it was his fault, and it wasn't his fault. But that's pretty cool. And the only thing I'm a little concerned about, I think he plays too much golf, because he's getting really good. It was really good yesterday. We needed that. That was fun. We had a great time. So I wanted to let each of you know just a real quick deal on those guys. I wrote down some of the things about that particular season that stood out in my memory. And it's really interesting as we all get older, the things that you think about, the things that you remember. This is the craziest stuff sometimes. We started that season with really high hopes, and all these guys back, they were playing well. We lose the first game in this gym to Mount Martin. So that was kind of a downer to start with. And then we had our little Hardrocker Classic, and we beat the Valley City. We beat Minnesota Morris very handily, and really played a good game there, and that kind of got those guys, I think, going a little bit better. And then we went up to Dickinson and won the Blue Hawk Classic, they called it. We beat Minot State and Montana Tech. And I don't know if it was that year, poor Rusty. I don't know if it was that year or the next year. We're going back to the motel. Rusty's on the Montana Tech bus. Was it that year?
I think it was, I thought you were going to tell a different story.
Rusty's on the wrong bus. He's got to go to Montana Tech. The Montana Tech coach was really excited. What a player I'm going to get. Well, we luckily he found his way back to ours. And we went on from there. And we started out the next year in '92. We won the preseason tournament back when we had the SDIC preseason, and that was, I know talking to Mitch over the years, he always said that was one of his favorite times, because we would play that tournament, school wasn't in session, and we had that huge budget, you know, that we always had for everything. And the guys would come back early, and I'd flip, they get a $100 bill, you can eat for 2 weeks, guys. And maybe 120 bucks if we were there for enough days, I guess. So that was really exciting. I think the university has only won the tournament twice. That was the second time. And some of the highlights there, I know I remember Mr. 50-year-old taking a charge against Huron. We won that game, and his family was there, and of course he was in the to the doctor's office, but he was back and played the next day, but he really took one for the team. We played Mayville, we beat them in the second game of the tournament, and we were down at the half, and the guys just had a wonderful second half. And came back and won a real exciting win over University of Sioux Falls in the championship game. It was just an exciting, it was a high-scoring game, a lot of three-point shots, and the guys really played well. So that was a very exciting time anyway. I thought the guys were really getting her done. And skipping around here, we finally get, I think it was the 18th of January, that we're playing in the fabulous Corn Palace. And the win streak ended that night. We had won it here on the night before, and then we lost that game in the Corn Palace. And, I really hate to say this with an FBI, high-ranking FBI official sitting over here. That Corn Palace ever disappeared, you don't know who did it. Then another highlight of the season, or low light, and I don't know, I can't believe Barb and I got talked into this, but the Super Bowl fiasco. Now, you guys probably won both of your games on that trip. My guys did not. So, for some reason, we're playing Monday and Tuesday. We had what we call sub-districts, and we had to go up and play University of Mary and Dickinson. And January 26th was Super Bowl Sunday. So we go up early and practice in Dickinson, and so they can watch the game, all this good stuff. And then, make the story short, we go over and lose at Mary and lose at Dickinson, which lost any chance for a home court for us in the playoffs. So that was a great disappointment, as the word fiasco, I suppose, might get that from there. A couple regular season games left. We played we played NAU back when they were a basketball power, you know, in our level. We played them at Stevens High School. It was a cold, snowy night. They had a little guard that was Tyrone Dillingham, that's the right name, I think. Came out of the Navy I think he was there 20 years, I'm not sure. He played for them. It was an outstanding player. We just couldn't deal with him that night. Just couldn't guard him. So in a moment of brilliance, Coach Gray and I are thinking, well, Kokon always knows where the ball is, number one, because he stares at the ball. Why don't we have him guard Gillingham? And Rusty's not known for his defensive prowess. So we get, and he just does a job you can't believe. He shuts him down. And of course, from that day on, he considered himself the finest defensive player. Well, we tried the same strategy against Black Hills a few days later, because they had a similar type of player. Didn't work so well. Well, we get to the playoffs, so we got to go on the road. And we're over at Black Hills. First game, and the typical deal where we had split during the regular season. And it's a great game. We've got the last shot, and we miss it. We took it maybe a second or two too early. They outlet the basketball to their point guard, and I'm just like this walking down to Coach Olson, and all of a sudden, there comes Griggs. Pretty cool, huh? Steve is sprinting down the court, stops the layup from the Black Hills kid. We win the game in overtime. What a deal. Just something God will never forget. Then we go up to Mary, and the strangest things happened in those days. I think we played Mary on a Sunday, and it was a beautiful day, I remember. Sunday afternoon. It's never good to play the parochials on Sundays. And we ended up winning that game by 2. Robbo blocked a long shot at the end. Got that big arm. The guys are feeling good. We come home. We play Carroll College, the Montana league champions. They just were incredible. We must have beat that night because we beat them by 25, 30 points. Fabulous game. And then, of course, the last one, we ended up losing the game to go to the national tournament to Dakota State, a team we had beaten twice, a team that was just on a real roll at the end of the season. They won 5 playoff games on the road. And it was just, I guess it just wasn't to beat. One thing I guess I neglected to mention, when I think about this now, Sean Swanson on that team. Sean was a red shirt that year. And ended up being a good player for us a couple of years. One thing that Sean did that kind of moved Rusty back on the knucklehead list was that he helped us recruit a fellow by the name of Dennis Schubeck, who was an incredible player for 3 years, 1,800 point scorer, big time, just an absolute big time player. But stepped in, took Rusty's position. Sean greatly appreciated it, And then, of course, Al Swanson. Al's here, isn't he?
Yeah.
There he is, Mr. Bus Driver. Confidant to the players. All these other good things that Al provided. And we appreciated everything that you did and all the fun that we had. So that's kind of some highlights for me, and I hope for the players. And it was just really a cool year. And what I was trying to get at with Brandon's story a little earlier, too many times we think about the loss rather than all the good stuff. And I know a number of years ago, Derrick and I were talking about this stuff. And I said, Derrick, I never watched that tape of that last game. And I never would. But again, I really appreciate the guys showing up like they have. And I know they've enjoyed each other a lot at their times that they're here. And it's just important maybe to remember that they won 22 games that year. And all the good things that happened rather than think about that one loss that as I said, sometimes things happen like that. And I'd like to, I can keep going here on this. I'd like to thank the committee and everything for my induction. It's a pretty cool deal for me, obviously. Coaching here, working here as athletic director was really a privilege and really an honor. We all have Doug King stories. And one of the things from Doug is when he interviewed me and that type of, all the stuff that you go through, When I walked into his office, I said, Mr. King, I'm Hugh Welsh. Call me Doug, D-U-D, Doug. D-U-D, and he's got this on his desk, Doug. And we kind of finished that interview with Doug saying, well, Hugh, one thing, if you accept the job, you'll never be embarrassed to say that you were at the South Coast School of Mines. And that kind of sums it up, you know, through the Army. You're very proud of the institution. You're very proud of the type of people that you were able to recruit. You know, your list is a lot smaller than a lot of schools. You know, not a lot of places that, well, there's the ACT and there's an SAT and there's a GPA and, oh gosh, can you play basketball? Those types of things. I guess the line that I used for years is that when we had good basketball teams, we had basketball players that wanted to be engineers. There were too many years that we had engineering students that liked to play basketball. That's kind of how we sum that stuff up. I do want to mention Coach Gray. Coach really wanted to be here today. Excuse me, to be here today, but because of the COVID stuff, both he and his wife were pretty sick at one time, and they got their first round of shots a little too quick, and they got sick again, and just were a little concerned about coming back. But Coach made a lot of sacrifices here for whatever we paid him $1,000 a year, or whatever the deal was. You know, did a lot of things. He was a good guy, a very caring guy. Worked very hard on breaking down films and that type of stuff. And I can't even get in a defensive stance anymore. But if you remember Coach, you know, always in the stance, always showing, always teaching certain defensive things. Although Coach Gray was a 1,000-point scorer at 2 schools and didn't know anything about defense when he played. I played against Coach. But he was a wonderful offensive player. I played in college with a kid from Watford City, North Dakota, who was just an amazing basketball player. We always called him the finest player that ever came out of North Dakota. And Coach was guarding, Kevin Anderson was his name. He tried out with the Bulls, he tried out with the Cavaliers, right on the edge of making it a couple of different times. Coach was guarding him. Coach played at Dickinson, his 3rd and 4th year. Coach was guarding Kevin one time, and I guess he tripped him a little bit, you know. And Kevin turns and looks at him and says, "Nice skills, Gray." And Jim says, "I was so embarrassed, I didn't want to play anymore." But Jim was just such a good guy to have around. I was so excited that he would take the time that he did for us. As from the coaching standpoint, again, there's so many different things that go on and reasons that you do it, but what it all ends up, what it boils down is the people that you deal with. And it was, to me, the guys here were just really something. And to have them come back like they did, how cool is that? Well, thank you very much. I'm really excited that this team got to go in through the Hall of Fame. I'm really excited that I'm in the Hall of Fame also. Thank you.
Yeah, I couldn't wait for Coach to come up and talk today. Back when we would have athletic banquets, they would go on and on and on. Some coaches would talk for an awful long time, and you knew when Coach Hugh would go up, it was like a stand-up comedy show. And I'm glad to see you still haven't lost your dry sense of humor, because you still got it. So congratulations again. So now we have the 91-92 basketball team. And this is kind of special to me because that was my first year in college here. And it is so much fun to see all the people who came back, and actually even the guys that I know that are here to support them today. But you know, back in the day, we didn't get 2 buses or separate buses, so during conference we traveled as a team. And they truly were an extended family, like our brothers. And it's just fun to see them here with their families, their wives. You know, Ryan, my husband and I, we always have a joke, and I guess maybe this is because I married a football player, but when we see some guys that are maybe married out of their league a little bit, you know, got a little we always say, boy, he outkicked his coverage. So I am really happy to say that, in my opinion, all of you guys outkicked your coverage. So congratulations. But with that being said, I am going to ask Mr. Tom Rudebush to come up and introduce the team, please.
Thank you, Maria. I'm going to be rather brief here. I think Hugh did a marvelous job. He said so many things that brought back so many memories that I had forgotten. You know, a couple of things about this team. One, I've been around a lot of teams. Baseball, football, basketball, hockey, you name it. And it would be hard for me to find a team for the men in any sport that had a nicer bunch of guys who respected each other, who played off each other quite a bit. I mean, some of you guys got pretty brutal for certain people. Rusty, you never heard all the stuff, but there was much you didn't hear. By the way, for those of you who are concerned, Sandy Carlson will be out in the lobby as you leave with a petition to get Rusty into the Hall of Fame. Please sign it. Another thing about Brandon Candlin, you can tell Brandon's a coach. I was sitting at his table eating, and Brandon, fundamentals. Tom, you're not eating fundamentally correct. You're not holding that fork properly, and when you grab your knife, here's the proper way to do it. He's a coach, all right. Finally, about Hugh, one thing about Hugh that I appreciated over my years at school, and this is very emotional for me because he was the only coach I'd ever been around that never complained. Didn't complain about his scholarship levels, didn't complain about his budget, didn't complain about his, not one time, and I was here a hell of a long time, and that was not one time that I remember you complaining. That in itself says a lot. So I guess all I'm going to add to what you told about the season and everything is I would like to get everybody up here together so we can take a team picture. And if not for anybody else, just for me. But if everybody could come back up on that team. Al, get up here too, Swanson. And let's just, I guess Hugh's going to have to order you up because you don't understand. This is the 1991-92 men's basketball team.
They're a little bigger. I need to back up.
You guys aren't skinny anymore. Get inside there.
You okay now?
Gotcha, John.
Sorry.
I can't see him.
Final thing I want to say is congratulations, Hugh. Congratulations to the team. Some of you might be wondering, what do I have to do, or why am I associated with these guys? is because I was doing the radio back then. And I made one career mistake in my broadcasting life. The year after Rusty graduated, I asked him to be my color man on basketball.
It was awesome.
It was the only time in my career, which we're still doing the games, is that I, the play-by-play man, actually served as the color man to the color man. Congratulations. Thank you.
So, your three of the team, would you guys like to say a few words? We'll pass the mic down. You don't have to.
I do not have any prepared statements, but I will say this. I haven't been around back to this school in a very long time. And it's a little emotional. I got to tell you, I was nervous. Jackie she felt that this morning when, boy, you're a little anxious, aren't you? I said, yeah. I got to tell you, the people here, like I said, I didn't prepare any words here because they're not coming up too clear, but I got to tell you, seeing Barb right away when we came in, Lori, Tom, seeing you, Coach, and Larry, and Joel, Maria, I mean, you guys are family. I mean, this is, like I told Jackie, I spent 4 years here. Yeah, I was on the 6-year plan. It's okay. So it wasn't a big deal. But I just got to tell you, and then seeing all these guys here, I mean, it was such an amazing time in my life to be coached by that man, Hall of Famer, just a great guy, an absolutely incredible guy. Thank you for recruiting me. All right. Sorry you didn't know what you were getting. But one of my favorite things in my office is I've got our team picture in our office, and I don't even have a picture of my family in the office. And I've got my basketball buddies guys in the office, so that is great. And so once again, everybody, thank you for this. This is absolutely quite a big experience. Proud to be a Hardrocker, proud to be coming here to Rapid City, proud to be part of this school and all the people here. So thank you very much. And guys, thank you.
So I'm not very good at speeches, but we were all drinking beer the last few nights. Don't shock you, I'm sure. And everybody's like, we have to say a speech, we have to say a speech. And these guys are going, I'm not saying anything, I'm not saying anything. And I thought Rusty was going to show up with 5 minutes to go in the program. So I thought, I better have something prepared. But first, the guys and I went together, along with the help of Joel and Coach Glenn. We got Coach Welsh and Coach Gray a basketball that we all signed. So that's my son Evan right now, and Rob's son Anders. And one of Rob's, Ricky Ruth's old jerseys, you guys can see what we used to wear back then. We signed that too. That's for Coach. While you're over there, have Kramer sign it. It'll probably be worth something then. Everybody's already thanked Hardrock Club, but I'll say it again. Thank you guys for what you do here. Thanks, Joel. Larry Simonson did the clock dependably all those years we were playing. And Rudy Bush was always there with the radio and always in the office when we needed something. And I'm with Rusty. I grew up in this town, and I almost left here after my freshman year. It wasn't to do with the school. I just had a horrible freshman year. I was super immature, and I can't imagine if I would have done that, what I would have missed out on. So thank you guys for that. Dr. Rankin as well, thank you. The other inductees, congratulations to you. It was great to reconnect with these guys, just because I haven't seen some of them since we stopped playing. I know some of the same boat, and we all at least recognize each other. That's good. We're all right at the half-century mark, but we all recognize each other, so that was pretty good. The team and what we accomplished as a team as I get older, it means more to me every year. Not over individual things, but just overall. And I look at the team, and I was looking through this kind of the byline of that team, and as Coach said, I think that we win that last game. That's really the cherry on top of one of the greatest seasons ever. But for us, it was just an amazing season. 22 wins. We had 38% from three-point range. Now, I didn't contribute to that, but that's pretty good for a team overall. And we made a ton. We had a school record for how many we made and took, too. But 88 points per game, too. And I'll point to that. That was my sophomore year. Coach put in this kind of up-tempo system or we'd run, we'd get the ball and run, and they initially told us they can't shoot three-pointers and they can't shoot layups, but give them anything in between. We just want to get the ball, we go to the other end, and we had studs that could run the floor. It wasn't me either, but we had the guys that could run and shoot, and we had Jeremy who would always get and Steve Griggs would have to guard these 7-footers that we play from Black Hills and Huron and guys like that. The guys have been in the Navy for 10 years, as Coach said. So we had just a little bit of everything on that team. It was really cool. And I know Coach never complained to you, Rudy, but he complained about our defense a lot in practice. So I'll say that.
Well, we can understand that.
I have to give a shout out to the guys who lived on St. Andrew and Oakland Street. We had a lot of good times at those two houses. A few others in there, but we'll leave that alone. The shell drill and the genius comment came up. I had forgotten about that. So he called us the Beauty Boys and he was happy. So if we won a game, Beauty Boys on the bus, Beauty Boys, get some rest, that sort of thing. But if we lost, it was geniuses. And they said, the next week, it was usually phrased as such like, you something geniuses, you can't do this, or you something geniuses, I thought you were so smart, you can't even do this. Just kind of down the line, but that was a little motivation for us. And the last thing I'll finish up with is seeing these guys brings back a ton of memories and a ton of this individual stuff, which we could all stand up here for a while on. But has anybody ever been to a Pamela before? Steve Gregg, that's what he shops. He and Jeremy Spicer also invented what was called the full body stretch. We come out before practice and just lay flat on our back. Full body stretch. Steve Griggs also perfected the lariat. Those of you who are World Wide Wrestling fans. And we walked out of Murphy's the other night, and one of the presidential statues of which president was it? You remember?
I wasn't.
We gave him the lariat. And then lastly, there were a few guys on this team that shall remain nameless. So we would go out to drink. They would warm up with, quote, a few 6 or 7 beers. Let's get started with a few 6 or 7 beers. Anyway, hey guys, time of my life playing with you guys. I know you all feel the same about each other, so I'll say it for you. Thank you all for being here and everything you've done for all of us too. Thanks.
Anybody else? Okay, hang tight, we're gonna get your plaques before you take off. They clean up pretty nice, last night the conversation before I left was, what are we gonna wear? So this is a pretty special moment when all these guys are worried about what they're gonna wear, but congratulations again. So I guess if you guys, you want to stand up here while I finish up, or do you want to take your seats? Okay, just a couple announcements before we let you out of here. Again, like a huge congratulations to all the inductees. Again, my favorite day, favorite time of the year for the athletic department. A big thanks to the Christensen family who built this Hall of Fame so we get to display our plaques and come back in here and visit people and see our friends on the wall. It's a great room, probably my favorite place. I don't really care for winter anymore, but sometimes I come out in this room and I stand in front of the fireplace in the winter and I think, wow, how lucky are we? How blessed are we to have been here at this school, graduate from this school, and really it is truly an extended family, and I feel blessed to be a part of that. A couple things, you will get honored at halftime, all the honorees, so with 5 minutes to go in the second half, if you can go meet on the other side of the track. Second quarter, sorry, not second half, second quarter, my bad. We will make sure that you guys get honored down there. I have tickets for all of you, for your families, so please do not leave. until you get those for me for the game. But really enjoy this day, enjoy this moment. Kickoff at 4 p.m., gates will open at 2. Come up to the president's tent, get something to eat, have a beverage, and just enjoy each other because this is truly a special time. So with that being said, Hardrocker out, and it's great to see all of you. Congratulations again.